Hi, I'm Hannah Khoo. I am the Customer Relationship Manager at the Cyber Resilience Centre for London. Thank you for joining me today. I will be summarising our Getting the Basics Right programme, which, if you have been following along, should mean you now have strong foundations of resilience in place. It has been a fantastic journey together, and I hope you have realised just how easy it is to action these tips and that you now feel better protected from cyber threats. If you have just come on board and joined us, this is an overview of what to expect. Just a quick introduction about us. For those who do not know who we are, the Cyber Resilience Centre for London is owned by the Mayor's Office for Policing and Crime and part of a network of 9 other centres across England and Wales. We offer free resources and affordable services to help small to medium-sized businesses and third sector organisations strengthen their resilience against cyber threats. All we want to do is help London's business community because we know how devastating it can be if you face a cyber attack. And we also know you might not have the money to invest in bespoke security solutions, but as long as you have strong foundations of resilience in place, you are significantly more protected from threats. So, with that in mind, do scan the QR code on screen to receive our free newsletters, which brings you fun facts, alerts, and they will also keep you in the loop of everything that is going on at the centre. To paint a picture of the scale of the problem, a Federation of Small Business report found that small businesses suffer around 10,000 attacks daily. Within 2 years, 530,000 small businesses suffered from phishing. The single average cost of an individual attack was estimated at around £1,300. Should you face several attacks, you can only imagine the financial impact. Types of cyber attacks include phishing. These are fraudulent emails that manipulate someone into actioning a request, such as clicking a link or opening an attachment. This can lead to large-scale attacks, including the other threats listed here. A data breach is when data is accessed by someone unauthorized. Whether someone stole it and put it on the internet or someone in your business accidentally sends it to the wrong person, anyone outside of the scope of who can see the data is unauthorized. A zero-day attack exploits security flaws in software that are yet to be fixed by the manufacturer. It's a race against the clock of how many cyber attacks the criminal can cause until the developer creates a fix. Ordinarily, security defenses protect from most known weaknesses, which is why criminals revel in the window of exposure offered by unprotected software. A zero-day attack can go unnoticed for a long time, but as soon as it has been identified, you must install the fix as soon as it has been released. This will arrive in the form of an update, also known as a patch. Malware is malicious software that spreads through your device and even onto your other devices to cause disruption and damage to business. It can completely destroy and wipe your tech and mean you could lose data. Malware, like ransomware, locks a device or file system from access and demands a sum of money to be paid. Often there is a threat from the criminal saying they will wipe or leak your data if you do not pay the ransom. Other malware can hide away on your device for a long time, spying on your activity, stealing passwords, data, and payment information. Malware has the potential to put you out of business. You can suffer a big financial hit trying to recover, and the time it takes you to recover can mean you could be offline for a long period of time, and you could lose a lot of business. A charity that suffered a ransomware attack in 2020 is still suffering from the consequences today, and they predict they will continue to do so for a few more years to come. There are so many cyber attacks out there, but these cover a lot of common threats you can come across as a business and even as an individual. Just a few real-life examples of cyber attacks. Twitter verified users were being scammed through direct messaging, saying their account will be suspended within 4 hours if they do not click on the link and authenticate their account. In giving away login details, the Twitter accounts were hacked and scamming other verified Twitter users. A banking firm was caught out by a phishing scam which caused a data breach of more than 50,000 customers. A large retail company lost their staff data. This could lead to spear phishing emails to manipulate their staff into falling victim, which can lead them to cause a greater cyber attack on the company in the future, or they themselves could be implicated. Spear phishing emails are more difficult to identify because they are personalized to the recipient. With staff data, the criminal can build a profile of the staff with the information they have, understand the hierarchy and target individuals that they believe are likely to fall victim. If they have public social media channels, they can build an even bigger picture and tailor the scam even more. If you suffer a breach like this, you should notify your staff and those affected immediately so they remain extra vigilant of scams and provide support and procedures of what to do if they suspect a scam. Create a never list so staff are aware of the sort of things you are not likely to ask of them, so that if it's an unusual request or out of the ordinary, they know to be cautious. The charity had a data breach because someone accidentally sent a file with names, addresses, national insurance numbers, and salaries of staff to the wrong people. So it's not always a cyber attack that causes a data breach. It can be accidental loss and careless handling of data. Under the General Data Protection Regulation, you must make sure that all personal data must be processed securely using appropriate technical and organizational measures. And one way of doing this is to maintain the security of your equipment throughout its life cycle. Our Getting the Basics Right program will better your compliance towards GDPR, and we will summarize this program here today. We have other webinars covering each topic in more detail, as well as step-by-step guides to action our guidance. I have talked a lot about scams and how they can lead to disruptive cyber attacks, and it all starts with yourself and your staff falling victim. So one way to prevent this is education and awareness. A person can be the first line of defense if they know how to identify fraud and know how to report it. Create a positive culture for your staff to talk about fraud to prevent others from falling victim. And should they fall victim, they feel comfortable to let you know, because then you can take efficient action against whatever threat may come after. Encourage your staff to watch our webinars and learn more about the part they play in keeping your business safe from threats. We have uploaded them to YouTube so they can watch them in their own time. There are many other free training tools to use online so that your staff receive regular training. Even the police run gamified learning sessions such as a cyber escape room and decisions and disruptions, which are interactive and a fun way of learning to keep it interesting, so it doesn't have to be the same session all the time. We also run free security awareness training sessions that are interactive and engaging for the whole team and can be tailored towards a business and their circumstances. So how do you spot these pesky emails? There are some common signs that you can look out for. The email is very generic, not addressed to you personally, but remember, even if it is addressed to you personally, it does not mean that it is not a scam. As I mentioned earlier about spear phishing, which targets someone after getting their information from a data breach or public social media. There are spelling and grammar errors, and the name of the organisation might be spelt incorrectly. Check the sender email address by hovering over it. You can then see who the email really came from. Check for small changes like a O to a 0, or just to catch you out. Hover over the email link without clicking it to see the website you will actually be taken to. This can be completely different to the actual website, or again, there might be tiny changes, which means you have to look closely to detail. There's a sense of urgency. They are making you panic, but remember, no time frame is too short to do a bit of research. Pick up the phone and call the person you believe the email is from a reputable number. Sometimes the email comes in an image rather than typed out. Be careful, as the image could contain an embedded link. So if you accidentally click on the image, then you could be taken to a dodgy website. Criminals will try and use logos to look genuine, but the image might not be of good quality. So we've just learnt how to spot some phishing emails, but in the event you do fall victim, it's good to have some security measures in place as a fallback. One good habit we must all get into is making sure our online accounts are locked tight with strong passwords and two-step verification. Strong passwords take longer for criminals and computers to guess, so they are less able to break into your account by force. A good technique to use is 3 random words, as this makes the password long, and length is key. Add some complexity, such as a number and special character, and you have a much stronger password that is easy to remember. Or use a password manager to remember all of your passwords for you. They will even create you a strong password that can be 50, 65, or even more characters long, as you don't have to remember it. You must also have different passwords for every account, because criminals will always try to break into other platforms once they have compromised one, and a password manager will help you cope with them all. Two-step verification is additional security should your password be compromised. When you log in, you will often be asked for a one-time passcode sent to your phone or generated by an authenticator app. Or you might be asked for a fingerprint or facial recognition. A criminal does not have access to the one-time passcode or your personal features, leaving your account locked. As we talked about earlier, it is too easy to fall victim to fraud, where you can accidentally give away your login information to the criminals. Now let's move on to technical solutions. In the event anyone does fall victim to fraud, you want additional security in place to stop criminals progressing their attack. First things first though, please back up your important data before making any significant changes to your technology. If you do not maintain the security of your tech regularly, then your data and documents might not be compatible with new software and may not work, open, or could be deleted. Don't let this deter you from following through with the program though, as it still remains important to be protected from cyber threats. Backups also play an important role if you do suffer a cyber attack or there is accidental loss or damage to your data and equipment. It's all about business continuity. Again, reducing business downtime, because time is money. So when a cyber attack hits, or even a flood or a fire, you can get back to business as usual in the quickest way possible. Get a backup policy in place and schedule how often you are going to back up your data. You do not have to back up everything, only what you cannot afford to lose. Select where you will store your backups, in the cloud, hard drive, or both. There are pros and cons for each, and you will need to do some research on what works best for your circumstances. But wherever you store your data, it needs to be protected with security best practices such as strong passwords and two-step verification, as it still remains your responsibility. And keep the backup separate from the network. So this means not storing it on your computer. A cloud system is an example of this because it is stored by a third party. If you use a hard drive, disconnect it from the device and store it preferably in a different and safe location so it does not get destroyed by natural occurrences, such as a flood. But at the very least, unplug it from the device. The reason for this is to prevent cross-contamination of malware, so your backups remain clean and can be recovered. There is no point in having backups if they are also compromised. Make sure all your software for apps, operating systems, and the devices you use for business are regularly updated. This is because criminals actively seek out security flaws in software to cause harm. Updates fix these security flaws to prevent criminals from using them for cyber attacks and causing significant damage. We also talked about zero-day attacks, and updating software within 14 days reduces the window of opportunity criminals have to exploit this vulnerability. If you are unable to update your software because of the structure of your business, you must take additional precautions to stay safe. Install a reputable antivirus that is maintained with updates by the developer. This is important because not only do the updates fix the weaknesses in the software, but it also means the antivirus can detect the latest threats. Antivirus detects and removes malware that manages to get onto your equipment. It can even scan external hard drives to prevent them from bringing harmful malware onto your computer. So if you have accidentally backed up malware onto a USB and plugged it in, or someone decides to plug in a rogue USB with malware into your computer because they are unhappy at their place of work, then the antivirus will act as a barrier and not allow the USB to fully connect until it has been scanned and the malware removed, preventing the malware from spreading. Antivirus can be built into operating systems, or you can get a third-party app. Antivirus also has a selection of other extra features for you to take advantage of, so you can action much of this information with one tool, including installing a firewall. A firewall protects your digital perimeter by monitoring every connection that is made between your computer and an external network, such as the internet, blocking any connection that is unauthorized to get through, including malware. For example, every web search you make presents an opportunity for threat, so a firewall monitors the websites you visit to make sure they are not harmful. The same with malware-infected emails that want to come into your inbox. The firewall will then respond according to the rules it has been given. By default, your firewall is set to block all connections to applications not on the list of allowed applications. But you can make changes to these settings if you're feeling brave enough. But I would get tech support to help you with this so that you make sure you are at least staying protected and not allowing anything dangerous through by accident. You can get software firewalls which protect the device it is installed on. There are built-in firewalls you can use for free on popular operating systems, or they can come as part of an antivirus package or independent third-party software on their own. Hardware firewalls sit between all your equipment, so your printer, laptop, phone, all of those sort of equipments, and the internet or other network that you want to be protected from. But once you leave the premises with your phone, for example, it is then no longer in that bubble of protection. Hardware firewalls are good at protecting the tech that cannot have a software firewall installed, like your IoT, for example, like internet-connected printers, your doorbells, Alexa, Google Home, etc. There are lots of types out there, and you might have a firewall already built into your Wi-Fi router. Consider which firewall works best for your circumstances and budget. You can have both in place. They do not contradict each other. To reduce the attack surface for criminals, we suggest you manage your user privileges. This means to limit access to data and resources and restricting capabilities of your staff. Apply a least privilege approach. Think of your structure like a pyramid. Everyone has a basic but functional ability. Then less and less people need access to additional resources, data, and settings. At the top, there are less people with the highest level of access and capability, known as the administrator. Going up the pyramid, the attack surface gets smaller, reducing the likelihood of a criminal reaching admin control and succeeding in large-scale attacks. Administrators have the highest level of access and can configure company-wide systems and make changes to security. This level is highly desired by criminals, and should they have this amount of control over your computer, they can cause significant damage to your business. For a sole trader, you can still apply the same approach. It's not about separating your users, but splitting up your tasks so they are not done all in one place and handing full control over to the criminal all in one go. Now, we have looked at keeping your equipment secure during its life, but what happens when it comes to an end? Whatever your reason for disposing of old equipment, you must consider the data that is stored, and this cannot end up in outside hands, as this would be classed as a data breach. Deleting your files is simply not enough, as these can be easily recovered by criminals with specialist tools. You need to completely wipe and reset the device to its factory default settings to make sure no residue data is stored on it. Do this even if you plan giving the device to a third party or a third-party company to destroy, as they should not have access to your data. Once the data is wiped, make sure it does not connect to the internet, as it is no longer secure. Depending on the type of data you store and if it has been stored on the device itself and not in the cloud, it would be safer to destroy the device completely to be certain nothing is leaked. Professional companies often break the equipment into 6mm pieces to make sure nothing can be pieced back together and recovered. Remember to remove any such removable media like SIM cards, memory cards, and hard drives or other data storage. When getting a new device, make sure you are buying from a reputable source. Scammers like to list high-value products on sites like eBay and Amazon at good value prices to lure you into making a purchase. But often you make a payment but never receive the product, or you get a bad quality product. Always do your research on the seller beforehand and pay using a third-party payment system like PayPal, Apple Pay, or Google Pay, or use a credit card and have added protection from fraud. If the product is dispatched by courier, make sure to have tracked delivery and the parcel can be signed for by a named individual to make sure it has been delivered safely. Have an onboarding policy incorporating all I have just talked about. It is much easier to set up your device with security in mind from the start. Avoid connecting to the internet at this early stage, as your device is not yet immune from threat. Finally, remember to keep the manual of all your devices so you know how to reset the device to its default settings when it comes to disposing of your tech. At the end of my webinars, I like to remind everyone of Action Fraud. They are our national reporting body for fraud and cyber attacks. Do report here even after the incident has been resolved, because this informs them of the threat landscape so they can better prioritise their investigations. They are also there to support you through an incident, so do seek their help in your time of need. Any phishing emails you receive, forward them on to NCSC report@phishing.gov.uk. Just 2 months after the launch of this service, more than 1 million suspect emails were reported by the public, resulting in more than 10,000 malicious websites being blocked or taken down. So that's report@phishing.gov.uk. Suspicious text messages can be forwarded to 7726, which spells out spam when using the old phone keypad. This is a free of charge short code that enables your provider to investigate the origin of the text and take action if it's found to be malicious. Action Fraud have removed 54,000 scams from people reporting in this way. This was a jam-packed session, so I had to be quite brief. I talk in more detail about each topic in our previous webinars saved on YouTube. I hope you enjoyed our Getting the Basics Right programme, and we look forward to you joining us for our next one. There is much more that needs to be done to achieve strong resilience, and in our future programmes, we will help you to feel ready to face cyber attacks when they do happen, so that there is less long-term damage to your business. What we have covered in this programme is the bare minimum and easy actions for everyone. For those just started on the programmes, good luck and do reach out to the team if you need any support. Thank you for joining me for this webinar and have a great rest of the day.